As we take a look between the two teams, it's going to be 3-3 coming out from Montreal, 3-3 out from the Contendies.
And you see it's going to be the pretty standard 3-3 here for Contendies. Not even utilizing the Winston. Gig going to be on the Reinhardt. You see the Winston come out a lot for Horizon Lunar Colony, for a lot of actually first points of 2 CP. You see the Winston use, try to get that cleave damage on the entry. But it's going to be the mirror matchup. Contendies going to be looking like the move through the lower left here. Great boops though.
Really good pressure command. Logic's going to get isolated a bit, trying the back out, can't do just that. Ends up finishing himself off there towards the very end. And it's going to be Contendies just moving forward, finishing out the rest.
And that was, I mean, exactly what Contendies needed for that contest. They drop onto them. They make sure they have their, pretty much their displacement abilities up. Salty looks for the boop. Zolik looks for a boop as well. Is able to isolate Logics. And that's the goal for Contendies, that every entry for Montreal, they want to deny the entry and they want to try to displace a member and catch them.
So Contendies all set up here. And remember, this would be Montreal potentially looking at getting full held again. They can't crack the code here now. We're not necessarily at that stage yet. It's just one fight. Big though gonna drop down. Shatter in reserve.
Montreal just sort of trying to bait Contendies as they drop, backing up, trying to get the cooldowns out. Now gonna come back in, gonna take the top right, move up the high ground, moving towards the point. Notice that Gig already has that Shatter. Overall, Contendies very far ahead in the ult game.
Montreal taking their time. Contendies, though, still, for now, this is okay. They have a little bit to give here on the point. Now they're going to move on forward. Gig dropping down. Shatter in reserve. What's the hammer down? Graviton out here from Montreal. Fall through, not necessarily there. Self-destruct for Contendies, making more room. Naga out of the fight. And the Contendies, again, going to fend off Montreal.
And, that wasn't the cleanest setup for Contendies, but because they were able to just
Gig's
set
going
up that
deeper.
charge. Gig is so deep. He's in the spawn. He won't get cleaned up, though. Contendies are there to back him up. It looks like they're going to keep chasing. They need to back up, though. They don't get caught here at the spawn. Despite that setup on point not being the cleanest, the charge came at like a tiny bit early from Gig onto Nomi. Naga was still in front of the shield and dies after popping the rally. So that's all you needed, is get that one pick, get a lot of those cooldowns out for Contendies.
Contendies can be holding a bit further back here. Transcendence in reserve. They used a lot in the last fight. Rebellion gonna be coming up with Grav Bomb of their own. But again, chicken Contendies. Heavy. Oh, it's Eden! Logic's grab. Eden. Salty all over it. The combo not gonna be anything at all as Heartblue's charged up, ready to go. Takes down 2 on the other side.
And with the combo gone, that's huge. It took Logic so long comparatively to Heartblue to get that grab. Heartblue's been, he's on his second grab now. He's built it very quickly. Montreal, they will have that double support ult. They will have that Shatter coming up. But Contendies going to have the combo very soon. And do you really want to invest your double support ult into the combo and not have anything to win the post-fight, considering Contendies will still be owning so much?
I mean, that might be what Montreal ends up doing. It's not a great situation to be in. We're down to a final minute, and chicken Contendies might be trying to speed run the series right now.
And there's only realistically 2 fights left. If this push is stopped, there's the early beat from Tensa.
It's really early from Montreal. Now they're all caught by Heartblue, all corralled together here. Suppose though, gonna fall. Chicken Contendies might overplay their hand. Gig went for the Shatter, got a whole lot of nothing. Meanwhile, Nomi off the Shatter, isolates Heartblue. Montreal finally with the way of getting on through here. Gig isolated, he's gonna be falling.
And this will be the point cap finally. But having to invest so much for Montreal, you see they weren't able to displace the shield. The grab was great. They forced the early beat for Contendies, but they weren't able to follow up on the grab. They weren't able to move the barriers for their combo. And the Shatter from Nomi just guaranteeing the fight.
Montreal able to get through point A. They avoid getting full held here again, which of course they're full held. That would have been the series.
That would have
been
the
series.
Contendies
are up 2-0. So that was their series life on the line.
And this is actually probably their best current chance to just snowball, because they're going to have combo here. There is no support up for Chicken Contendies just yet. This is their chance.
Of course, Logics has to be careful to Grav. Threw away a Grav earlier in the match. Graviton's up, waiting for his opportunity. Salty just sitting there, deceptively looking for the Grav eat. Logic's holding back. Not rushing this one.
Not rushing, but this portal's going to come very soon. There's the trance. Bomb out. Can Nomi get the charge?
It's going to get, and no, the bomb a little bit high. Doesn't get much of anything. Chicken Contendies charge out the other way, but Salty gets caught. Montreal able to transcend a little bit later. They're Nomi with the Shatter. Gets Gig in a rough spot. Gig going to be down. As a result, just gets clipped by the latter part of that Shatter. Now Montreal finishing things out, and this could be a decent time for them.
They could. They have so much point control right here. They have Logic, very high energy. Naga still has that rally.
Self-destruct up towards the very end. Salty out of there. And now Montreal on full autopilot here as they look to finish it all up. Graviton going to be the best here for Chicken Contendies on a whim and a prayer. And actually, it's Naga Nomi. Hardblue might have done it here as Chicken Contendies. They're going to be able to get more respawns out. Montreal does not have it here yet.
However, Logic does have to grab the beat, keep him in the fight. If Logic get a good grab here, they can still win this recontest.
Graviton in, Salty. They have a tough spot here. Logic's going to fall.
No way. The recontest is done. Fight's over. Logic invests the grab, hoping he can clean up almost the cap. So close, but there just wasn't anyone alive for Montreal, especially while Hui was out of the mech to clean up that grab. Still a good push. I think it was fine to, you know, maybe even commit the grab in that fight to potentially get the cap because they had gotten so much point presence. So that was still a really good push for Montreal.
So Montreal signs life. Contendies, though, not out of it here yet on point B. They very much like to get a hold here, if possible, even with 94.9% damage done on a round flip.
Look how aggressive Contendies are holding on this corner. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to try to catch them with the rally on the rotation. Goliath so low. Almost forced. Transforced early.
Transcendence going to be coming out here. Montreal moving in off the Transcendence. Yet to get anything from it here yet. Chicken Contendies living from the rally alone. Backing out. Buying their time. Zolik getting close to one of his own. Gig! Can drop the hammer. But why he drops the hammer is Nomi. On the other side, gets a little bit more with his shatter. Buck out of the fight. Montreal working at man advantage. They still need more though. Nomi gonna fall. Chicken Contendies decide that they didn't like where this is going. They invested Transcendence to be sure, but might not have been needed after Nomi ended up falling.
Yeah, I don't think that Transcendence was needed. It was a little late in the fight, especially with how split Montreal was, how split Nomi was. So now Montreal has another opening. They have the grab. There is no Transcendence up, but it's going to be really tough to follow up on this, considering that Contendies have their own combo. So, I mean, really, it's going to be impossibly hard. I don't think they invest in this fight unless they get an early opening pick.
We'll have to see. Montreal going to be waiting here, going off to the left. As mentioned, no combo play set up for it. Contendies definitely in a stronger spot. Again, invested here early. Now we look to Harb. Holding on to the grab. Graviton get connects. Salty hanging on to the self-destruct. Layers it on, up and over. Takes down 2. And Montreal definitely running out of time here. Down to their final 30 seconds. And they threw everything in.
They invested grab. They invested. I mean, the rally's fine. I think rally's a great ult to invest if you want to get ults out of the enemy team. But I have no concept why Logix would grab at that point in the fight. And even less of a concept why Zolik would beat. There wasn't even a Demon Bomb out. So, I mean, that was 2 ults that really were not necessary. But Contendies still on top. They're still great in the time bank ad right here.
Transcendence can be used here. Gig going on to the Shatter. Montreal and Whim to Prayer moving forward. Right into the waiting hammer of Gig. Gets Tensa, but Tensa far enough away that it's still fine. Able to barrier. Montreal, though, burning resources just for another attempt at the prize. As they move on forward, Nomi holding on to the Shatter, drops it late into the fight. Montreal actually could have an opportunity here. Chicken Contendies starting to lose player after player. Montreal not done yet, moving back over and in. Buck out of the fight. Montreal, they've done it.
I bet Contendies would love to have a beat there. I bet they would have loved to have a beat. You see Suppose have to trance halfway across the point, come all the way over, use almost all of his Transcendence just to get to Gig to keep him alive. They don't have it for the post fight, and they still didn't have beat because they invested it in the fight where Logic just chunked grab. So, I mean, I guess Logic's play, the fight previously, worked out by removing the beat, but really just a misplay by Zolik, and they needed that beat.
Very much so. And now, going to rotate back over. Montreal has something they can work with here. Is it the absolute best time bank position you'd like to be in if you're them? Certainly not. But is it a better setup than getting full held at first and losing the series outright? I would say so. Definitely.
Really shaky offense, though. They capped both of those points in essentially last-second moments and OT moments. So they get the full cap, but it's a really, really shaky full cap. And now Contendies, they know that all they have to do is just full cap once. And they don't lose the series. They can't get bumped. You know, they can, even if they draw the map, they win the series, right?
Yeah.
As long as they full cap. So Contendies, they're in a really great position. Obviously, they want to get as much map score as possible because, like we talked about, there's all these edge case teams right now. But for them, just guaranteeing the map win would put them far ahead, even with the draw.
Yeah, very much so. So Chicken Contendies going to be setting up here for their attack. Montreal back on the defense. And for Contendies, I mean, any sort of successful attack here that has time left on the clock is fantastic. More so if they're able to finish point B with 1 minute and 1 second left, because then, of course, they would get another attack and Montreal would get nothing. And also at that point, that means worst case scenario is a draw, so the series is theirs. So Montreal, if they do get capped on, they need to drain the clock below 1 minute and 1 second.
Yeah, they have a lot of pressure for this defense. This is the series. This is not only the series determiner, but this is, you know, very potentially their playoffs determiner. As Contendies move lower right, trying to go to that low ground. As Nomi drops down, gets bucked so early.
Already, Montreal just cleaning up on there. Much better engagement from them, which has been a little bit lacking. I would say that the Contendies side overall has been out-engaging Montreal pretty regularly, but the drop down from Montreal does the job there.
That was definitely the right play from them. As you see the boop. And the problem here with the boop is that Salty is not going to be able to get mech back. He's going to fall. It was a little bit of a stagger, even more so because, you know, that's how the space component of Horizon works. And Nomi has Shatter for the following fight. They're probably going to recreate that exact same scenario. Just drop down, get the bubbles out, look for the Shatter.
Be biding their time. Contendies going to be moving in here now on the right side. Holding on. Montreal, though, buying quite a bit of time here. 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And Contendies, they just decide to rush things a little bit. Straight down Main Street. They go into the right side to buy a little bit of space. Montreal, though, all over them as they do the rotation.
Yeah, Montreal not giving any free space there. Forcing them to make a lot of rotations, burning time off the clock. But they're still trying to set up the Shatter for Nomi. They're building up their support ults. They're you know, right now they're in a strong position.
Nomi holding on here. Shatter in reserve. Immediately decides to drop it. That was ambitious, to say the least. Gig, though, under heavy pressure. Transcendence from Suppose just in the nick of time. Doesn't let the Reinhardt fall this time around. Both teams under heavy pressure. Logic's investing the grab towards the latter end of the fight. Works out for Montreal. They're repelling the Contendies here. 2 minutes left on the attack.
And that was a better exchange for Montreal. And somehow also they're able to force the trance early, which allowed that grab for Logix, who's already over 50% to another grab. The problem, though, is that neither support ult is up for Montreal in this fight, and Contendies have their are going to have their combo. I mean, they could also just grab, and it'd still be good, because they could grab Rally, and there'd still be no support ults up for Montreal. So the impetus, in a lot of ways, is going to be on Logix to get another counter grab, or Tensa to finally get this beat.
Montreal gonna be holding back here. Nomi, Earthshatter in reserve. Contendies again trying to go up the right side. Getting get caught here. Early Graviton moving in. And now off the early exchange, Chicken Contendies with 3, make it 4, just bursting out of the space area, and this should be enough for point A.
That's it. I mean, it's still a faster cap than Montreal by a solid 30-40 seconds. And they did have to invest. They did have to invest the grab there. Not much else. I think this is Contendies. This is one of their best chances to snowball, especially since Hui used the Diva Bomb. There is no splitting presence. They're gonna have double support, but so will Contendies. While they have their Bash Shatter, I should say, the Earth Shatter.
Yeah, and now for Contendies, this is where, again, if they finish with 1 minute and 1 second left on the clock, they have won the series. Montreal must buy time here to a significant degree if they're not able at least to hold off the point. Already payload progress coming on in. Barrier invested by Montreal. Something from Contendies right to the back. And already Nomi down out of the fight. Man advantage for the Contendies. Transcendence from Montreal starting to fade. Both support ultimates have been used here. Hui gets caught.
And look at Harpo's grab right now, ZP. He's gonna have a grab in this fight. There's no support ults. They're just sitting on point. The grab is out. Catches Tensa.
Grabs in the back. Keeps him off the point. Chicken Contendies working with the serious advantage here. Goliath, though, able to get Suppose off the respawn. Could be a difference maker. Montreal desperately trying to get back out here and delay. They cannot let this be capped with time remaining, and they do!
Oh,
it's Chicken Contendies!
That's it. The series is for Chicken Contendies. They have won the series. They have. That is an incredible finish. Now it's all map score. This, you know, we've talked about map score throughout the season. These are actually games right now, especially, and the game previously for Uprising versus Mayhem, where map score is going to be so important. It will 100% make a difference.
And also, again, this has been almost unexpected resurgence here for Chicken Contendies, where even if you were to argue that Montreal's come in here slower than you would expect, which I think would be very fair to state, given that they seemingly were on an upward trend, this is a sharp shock upward for Chicken Contendies, where they need it most, when playoffs are on the line. They come in here, they take the series regardless of what happens in the next 4 minutes. It is a very good showing for them.
Yeah, I mean, they are very likely with beating Montreal. They're not out of the woods yet. They still have plenty of they still have other games to play. But with this win, they could have potentially locked themselves into playoffs. Map score is still going to be very important because it's going to be a battle between Montreal and Boston for the final seed now potentially.
Yeah, and certainly
or
going
Uprising
into that,
Academy, I guess, not Boston, but Uprising Academy.
That's grim for Uprising, given that
Yeah.
even if this is an off day for Montreal, they have been looking better as things have been going on. So this is probably the result that Uprising least wanted.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I think this is definitely not the result that Uprising was looking for. Logic's going to get that early pick on the Zolik as they approach. Contendies going to have to back up here. You see Montreal going to be playing this bunker comp, running Naga on the Junkrat, Logic on the Widow, and they really want to first hold here because not only is the map just immediately over if they don't, but I guess that's really it. They want to first hold because they want the map score.
It's Montreal looking for it. Naga able to get Suppose down pretty early. Junkrat sneakiness in play here, where the hope and dream for Montreal is that if it's not the Junkrat, it's the Widow, and vice versa. Delaying Contendies offense here. They've burned off a minute, but they have a long way to go. Remember, 4 minutes and 3 seconds. It's actually technically a little bit longer than what you normally have to get point A, and point A holds on Horizon. They do happen, but they're pretty rare.
They do happen, but you know, I like to talk to. I think they're rare, but they're not as rare comparatively to any other map.
No.
I think they're actually more likely on Horizon, especially than they are any other Assault map. I don't have the stats to back that up. That's just my own personal feelings. I'd have to actually see the numbers. As you see, Contendies entering here again. Good nade from Goliath, catching 2. Harblu so low. Contendies gonna have to heal up, make the rotation here again.
Oh,
Zolik's down again.
Zolik had the fight early, and the Tire just gonna run the rest right on over. And you know, that's one of those things where I'm not sure the Tire was needed, but it was. You didn't know you were gonna get the pick up.
I mean,
there,
at
so
the
totally
rate that
fine.
Contendies are building their ults and the time that's going off the clock,
This
they're
is a
gonna
big
have
stagger.
and they're getting the stagger onto Salty. They're gonna have another Tire in time. By the time that Contendies finally have their ults, they'll have another Tire. This is a pretty good defense so far from Montreal.
This has been very promising for Montreal. I mean, again, the shame for Montreal here is that even if they get the first point hold, which would be tremendous, it only matters for map score. They cannot bring the series back from where it is now, and that's just because Contendies, their offense much quicker.
Oh, that sleep and the nade from Goliath was so big. Denying that push, once again, denying the rotation, making them back up, get their cooldowns, their health back up. They're going to be sitting, coming back in very soon. Naga already 40% to another Tire. And Tire is the win condition for Montreal right now. It's really going to be Tire.
Contendies, meanwhile, just me going straight forward. The E lost shield damage on the way through. The shield actually just completely out of it here. Goliath takes good advantage. Bionade over the top. Deals with that as the shield is down. Here comes the Tire from the other side. And Naga might be down, but the Tire strikes from the grave. Harblu out of the fight. But this is okay for Chicken Contendies so far here. They're trading out effectively. There is a spawn advantage to them as they look to get back over. The bomb from the back from Salty catches Goliath. And now, slowly but surely, Contendies starting to grind their way on through. Nomi, nowhere to go. Charge into the side. Shatter doesn't quite catch Tensa there, but it's all for nothing. Contendies should now be able to take point A, regardless of what Rebellion tries, and that makes it a clean 3-0. No draw required this time around.
And that map score going to be so good for Contendies. They have to be really, really confident, not only with the map win, but if they can get a 4-0 here, they're in great spirits. After that, Montreal have to be feeling a little defeated. They're not out of the running. It's really going to be between them and Boston for that final seed.
Yeah, it's not over for Montreal yet, not over for Boston, but it does make the final 2 weeks after this week a little bit more exciting, to use a word for those teams. Yeah. I don't think they would really say exciting. I'd just say more terrifying, but is what it is. Chicken Contendies pulling out the win.
And we've had this narrative before, but I mean, Gig and Harblu looked great. They looked really, really good. There are moments where Montreal show some flashes of brilliance, but it really, when I look at them, I'm not seeing any lack of individual play necessarily. It's just totally team synergy.
Yeah,
something is going wrong on a team level for them, to where they're not clicking. They're not, getting the value they need of their ults. They're not, sometimes they have great initiatives, sometimes they don't. It's just very back and forth.
Also, just to be clear, in case people are taking the wrong message for Chicken Contendies, they have not necessarily locked in playoffs here yet. If they lose the last 2 games, and
yeah,
then
they could still not make it, but it's looking good for them.
Yes, very much.
It's looking really good for Contendies because this is not a match they were necessarily predicted to win coming in.
No, not in the least.
At least on our end.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's good reasoning behind it, but in the end, this is also why you play the game, right? There's also good reasoning for saying, hey, New York XL, surely they're going to beat Seoul. Seoul's look shaky all season long, and then, you know what happened there.
And that happens. So, I mean, Contendies have to be feeling great. Montreal, I mean, they're not out of the running yet. By any means, the series is over, though. They're playing for map score, but map score it's probably the most integral it's ever been right now. They need that final map. They're really going to be trying. They should be trying very hard to get that final map. And,
of course, final map, it is going to be Gibraltar again as we move forward here, where, Gibraltar, it's sort of who knows what to expect type of situation where different compositions, very viable on the map. Also, times very variable, where you have first point hold battles matched by speed runs. It is all over the place depending on the matchup in the team. But Montreal going into this one, they have to know that wherever it ends, they want to end with at least a map W for them, because the alternative, not super great.
Yeah, it's definitely not great. Moving into our final map of the series, like we talked about, Watch Point is going to be our escort. And I predict that we're going to see a lot of Logic's Widow. That's my prediction right off the top, ZP. I'm predicting a lot of Logic's Widow. I think Montreal are probably frustrated with their 3-3, and they want to put Logic's onto more of those hit-scan classes.
Ready for battle.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I predicted entirely wrong. I feel like they should be doing that. I think they should be taking advantage of Gibraltar and the verticality. They haven't looked like spectacular on the 3-3 versus Contendies.
See what they come out with here. Still time for either side to change. But Montreal, as they set up here on their attack, I wouldn't be too surprised if this was their final form. Meanwhile, for Chicken Contendies, they've been strong for 3-3, so also not too surprising. I mean, big difference here between the two would just be that matchup here between Nomi on the Winston and Gig on the Rhine.
Yeah, it's really going to be how can Gig find value on these initial fights if Nomi is able to just run away, look for the engages. They can abuse the verticality a lot more, while Gig is sort of relegated to being on the low ground.
So for now, Nomi going to be in the unenviable position of guy who must push payload as the rest of Montreal sets up. Used Huey there in the Bastion to make a little bit of pressure, but so far not actually very effective. Chicken Contendies just get back out. I mean, it buys in the sight line, which is what they're looking for. But it's still been very slow going on the payload so far from Montreal.
Extremely slow. They've had to back off. I mean, they know the Bastion strat only works if they're directly on top of the cart, but Contendies could just back to the corners, which is exactly what they did. Now the fight's going to happen on the cart. Switches will come out. It'll be 3-3 versus 3-3.
Montreal, very slow start here. Looking for Gig on the outside. Gig instead going to get the armor pack. Charges forward, gets chunked very heavily. While the emergency buttons to save Gig have been used. Bubble, though, comes back off cooldown. He's going to rotate back around, and not in time! Just gets caught by the tail end of the fire strike towards the end. Nomi starting to break the fight wide open as Montreal gets through the first challenge from the Contendies here on point A.
And they burnt the shield very, very fast. They burnt Gig's shield incredibly fast. They gave a lot of value to Goliath and Logic with that barrier down. They do so much damage. You see it relatively reflected as well with the ult, so it is pretty much equal. As Contendies going to come out from the high ground looking to contest, as Nomi's been stuck on the cart.
Nomi back here on the payload, but speaking of payloads, he has one of his own right now. Earth Shatter about to be up and ready. Moving forward, it would be an early one, and he just lets it fly! Knocks down 3 directly to the back. Forcing out the barrier here from Contendies. The self-destruct giving them a little bit of room, meaning that Nomi's Earth Shatter doesn't necessarily have good fall through, and in fact, Logix is caught. Both sides transcending, but Contendies a little bit later. They're going to use this now. Move a little bit forward, but Gig perhaps a little bit too deep. Ends up falling. And now Chicken Contendies, they might want to consider backing this up a little. And oh, by the way, Beam on the payload, Huey's still there.
Huey's backcapping, but he has to make sure not to get demeched. He doesn't. Goliath picks up Harb, who is so far. Where was Harb? Harb was spawn camping while his team was going to cart. Salty going to get bashed. Discord, and he'll come down. Logix is back with the grab. Tento was able to save beat during that too, so it's going to be the double support up available for Montreal well to continue this snowball.
And it was a bit tragic there for Contendies, where they probably went a little bit too far forward. They end up paying the price. Now Montreal going to be getting good momentum here on point B.
And look, you see this very, very early trance from Goliath. The snowball happening right now. Nomi getting shattered by Gig, deciding to commit that, get Tensa, but it should be cleanup here for Montreal. They have so many more ults.
Certainly so. Checking Contendies right now, trying to stabilize a bit. Montreal backing on to the payload as Checking Contendies have actually regrouped reasonably well here, moving on forward. Oh, they regroup right in the Nomi shatter. Nomi says, regroup this. Lays the hammer down, Buck immediately paying the price. Contendies lucky not to lose more immediately after that, but it's Montreal able to turn the tables with an advantage. The grab setting up Nomi once more, the pressure continuing to mount.
Nomi's shatter was so clutch, it's hard to even believe how clutch it was because he is extremely low, drops the shatter, denies the chase onto Goliath and Logix, allowing his team to regroup and set up their grab. Goliath getting that late kill onto Zolik as well as they're coming in trying to contest, but I think it's Pose as well. It's going to be Montreal picking up the second as they move forward, chase those frags.
Yeah, I mean, Montreal, they're keeping the pressure up right now. Checking Contendies running for the hills, and I mean, in all fairness, between the two teams, certainly Montreal with a lot more to fight for here in Gibraltar, and fight they are.
They're having a much better fight. The grab coming out from Harp, trying to catch the people leaving for Montreal, but Trance out, bomb
Transcendence
out.
and a bomb! The bomb catches Harblue! Harblue bites off more than he can chew. Gig gonna drop the shadow on the other side. Montreal, though, says, we're told okay, here's a barrier for good measure. Gig gonna fall! And Montreal just continuing to push forward.
Hardblue having a very aggressive grab there again. In typical Hardblue fashion, he does force by a chain of events, not only the trance, but through the beat later on after Gig shatters. So, you know, no support ults out. Buck can come out for the recontest. Zolik has the beat. This should be okay for Contendies for this contest.
Gig finds Naga early in the fight. Checking Contendies now the opportunity to bring this back. And bring it back they should. Nomi just tries to charge on out. Don't think he's going to get away. Contendies, though, they have a long time to defend here. After a ruthless assault coming in from Montreal, 3.5 minutes left for them to finish things off.
And not just do they have a long time, but there's not a lot of ults in their bank after they use both the rally and the beat. Montreal going to come back in with their grab. There's no support ults up for Contendies. So if this grab is not eaten, Montreal in a good position, they can clean this up with ease.
So just exactly how they're going to set up here. Logic's holding on to the grab. Montreal wanting the bottle. Some of the lightning they had before, but Chicken Contendies have had time to fully set on up. They're playing the poke game significantly more convincingly at this point. Nomi's shield under a lot of pressure. And Gig goes for the shatter and knocks down Logix in the back. Logix in a lot of trouble, but can be saved. Armor pack onto him just in the nick of time. But the grab, it only saves him so he can throw the grab off to the other end. And now instead, Contendies moving forward, Transcendence out.
Naga countering with the rally. There's the grab out. Trance out for Goliath as well. This is too late. Hardblue's grab post-fight was too much. You know, I thought it looked like an Eden grab.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It looked like an Eden grab, but it was a Lucio bug.
We got...
It was a Lucio bag. It wasn't an Eden grab. Logix, he drops the grab, is able to kill those frags, but in return, Contendies, they back up. Or not Contendies, yeah, it is Contendies. They back up. They're able to put the counter grab late in the fight because Hardblue is there. He's waiting post-beat. And now here they come in. They're going to force Montreal to come up from the high ground.
Unconventional rotation back around does happen when
you're in spawn camp.
Yeah, when people are knocking at your spawn.
And Contendies so far, they've been in control once they've stabilized here on the defense. We saw that exchange happen there. We saw the ults traded. Hardblue already 50%, still tied with Logix, you know, another person that builds grabs very fast. They're going to be looking to fight them as aggressively as possible here.
Logic's now holding back, and this is really good pressure from Chicken Contendies when the name of the game is buying time. Just forcing this long rotation at Montreal, certainly working out to that end. Bomb coming out here from Montreal, largely ineffective. Chicken Contendies a response to barrier and going a little bit deeper. Gig can drop the shatter, looking for anything. Nomi dropping shatter in return. Buck on the ground. And Montreal off the shatter from Nomi. Gonna be clearing the way, but Chicken Contendies, they bought enough time that they should be able to get back out before Montreal can finish this out.
They will be able to get back out, but they're running into a situation where it's grab, trance, beat, trance. So a huge portion of this next fight is going to be determined on, can Salty get bombed? It doesn't have to necessarily be combo here. It just needs to get bombed at all so they can force grab out on the right spawn door, denying Contendies to touch the cart.
Nomi gets absolutely annihilated. He was looking there for the Graviton fall through, but he was just there off in his lonesome. Ends up getting charged as a result. Montreal, I think they were hoping that they could just cap the payload while that was going on. It was anything but the case, and they leave Nomi out to dry.
And you know, that was what huge there was Contendies split through the doors. I think Zolik went through the right side. I didn't see which member of Contendies was splitting, But they made a smart move there. They split the doors knowing that Montreal was going to look for that grab. And were able to stop the cart, deny the cap while the grab was out.
So, Chicken Contendies now going to be holding back. Final 14 seconds. Montreal, who got here with a lot of time to spare. All that time has been drained. And we'll see if they have it in them for one good final push here.
See Zolik being so aggressive for these moves. He's getting shot at by Goliath. Logic's picking up Buck. You see Hui on the cap.
Well, it is going to split the attention here of Chicken Contendies to be sure. And while they're looking at the back, they're not looking at the front. Heart Blue down, but it is back and forth. Is Contendies, though, against the wall. Diva DMAC going to happen. Gig at half HP. Not a lot there for final miracle plays. Montreal, they split the Contendies, and they conquer.
And this is a pretty typical of Montreal so far in the series, where
what have you done?
Where I pull down the audio equipment this time.
Yeah, that's my thing.
That is your
thing. You can't steal my clumsiness like that. What are you doing?
I know, but more importantly, Montreal still they've consistently capped with very little time to spare and their offenses, and a very last-minute moment where Contendies maybe gets a little bit too aggressive, doesn't know how to deal with the split from Montreal, and it's weird because you see these flashes of brilliance from Montreal in terms of these split pushes and when they need them most, but we're not seeing them come out a lot of times during the rest of the map.
No, and I mean, I think it's there where sometimes desperation in Overwatch creates interesting plays that can work even if you wouldn't think they would work, just because it's like, okay, well, you have to do something. You have to hope that it works, where, you know, you think back to Overwatch lore, there was the old meme back when people were first learning the game that, you know, I think part of this just came down to the fact that people weren't aggressive enough, right? Where you would have situations where, wow, the only push my team seems to win is when it's in overtime. That's also because that's the point where you actually have to commit, because what else are you going to do? Stay back and watch time expire?
You know, there was a very old theory that crafted by the legendary Train, member of LG Evil, and who's disappeared now, and it was a term we used a lot called the pub effect. And the pub effect is when you wouldn't have a successful push like you talked about until OT, where everyone was forced to go to the cart.
Yeah.
And the desperation forces you to play as a team around the objective. And that's what we refer to as the pub effect. But sometimes it can still be felt to this day, even in actual competitive matches.
Well, that might have been the best example of pub effect we've seen in a while. Montreal able to fish things out. Not any time left remaining, but it's a scored, so no matter what, they'll get another attack if Contendies is able to be successful here.
Contendies going to be playing this 3-3 with the Ryan, just focusing most of their effort on contesting the cart, moving the cart. Montreal with Nomi on the Winston, just going to be trying to ping-pong with Hui, with Nomi. Touch the cart, get that key damage. Hui going very low, but he'll be able to get out.
Montreal instead here, going to be rotating around. Chicken Contendies on the attack, moving over to server room. Montreal, they don't have to commit here just yet, but they are going to have to commit soon.
Well, I mean, yeah, they will have to commit very, very soon. Goliath close to that trance, but Suppose building a return.
Weird dive there. Nomi very out of position to start the fight. Hui going to be paying the price that Nomi is wrought here, getting demeched. Had to throw his body onto the point. Meanwhile, Harablue charged up, getting very good cleanup. It's a bloody fight, to say the least.
I think Nomi was hoping to catch Suppose there, as Salty picks up Tinsa with the bomb. They deny the point presence there. Good boops as well. Deny the point presence from Montreal. And now it's going to be cleanup. You see how aggressive Contendies is being. Suppose trying to get these picks. He's so far forward. They could just turn and get him, but no, they're going to keep backing up.
Montreal should be fine here. Contendies lost so many people, even though they took the point, that they didn't have the classic, hey, we have 6 people. Let's roll in and take out the respawn. It's like, actually, you don't have anywhere near enough people for that. Fact that Suppose might want to remember, as he is getting very aggro.
I definitely agree, though, that Nomi's dive was probably the dive that put Montreal in not a great position. He was so far away from the cart, he was hoping to catch Suppose in the backline location as the grab is out.
Graviton in here from Logix. Montreal looking to reverse course just a bit here. There's the grab in from Logix. Gonna be pulling in Buck. Down he goes early. Transcendence already used by Montreal here. Gig, though, Shatter on his own. Doesn't really get too much there. Not going to be bailing out Contendies this time. As Montreal looking a bit better on the defense.
Should be clean up right now. As Suppose wins the 1v1, but he should be going down very, very soon. Stuck in this room. They're going to clean up eventually, surely they do. And that was honestly, I think Gig Shadow could have maybe turned the tide there. But Tinsa's beat along with the peel from Naga, denying any of the cleanup for Gig. Now Contendies going to come back in. The snowball push has been stopped. They don't have their grab up. However, they will have the bomb. Good space creation. But Montreal also have plenty of space creation of their own, with Nomi having that Primal and the bomb.
Now we're going to see Nomi dropping on down. Primal in reserve. This is what use here just yet. Okay, bomb over the top. Time for everyone to dive back down the other side. Bomb forces enough movement here that Salty... Well, Salty ends up getting caught.
They do have to contest the cart, though, ZP.
Yeah. Well, they go back forward. It's Montreal with a man advantage. And it's not a bad spot from the B in. Contendies have already used Transcendence in the middle fight. Self-destruct out from Hui. Not quite good connects, but it's Montreal working from a position of power. Nomi in the back with the Primal. It's good disruption and should be enough. Contendies just a little bit disrupted here, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board once more.
That'll definitely be enough. Nomi continuing to chase so aggressively here. He's so low. Has to be careful. He should be able to get out. Now Montreal, after that, you know, they've had to give up some space. There was some cart presence for Contendies, but they were able to trade their ults more effectively. Nomi popping that Primal late. Harblue has Grav. So if I'm Contendies here in this situation, since I know only Trance is up, I would definitely be trying to look to use one of my supports to either force or even my Grav to force this early Transcendence from Goliath.
Graviton going to be coming out here from Contendies. Answered by Transcendence on the other side. It's not in time to save Naga. The burst damage on a little bit too much. Contendies, they feel this is a fight. They barrier in. They move on forward. Gig holding a Shatter in reserve. Montreal super weak. Shatter shouldn't be needed here. Harb gets the cleanup. And Contendies now should be able to get through and get point B.
And Harb doing a lot of damage, and they're exactly what I wanted to happen. If I'm Contendies, does happen. I use the grab, I force the Trance, but Goliath Trance is a little too late to save Naga, and then they're just able to snowball from there because there isn't enough damage, and the counter grab from Logix to clean through that beat, to clear through all that health. Contendies picking up second, 3.5 minutes on the clock for them to push, so there's still plenty of time for them to get that cap, but Montreal, I mean, they need to have a strong defense here.
Certainly so. I mean, 3 minutes, 20 seconds left. No matter what, they get another attack, but you don't want another attack where Contendies is just working with an enormous time bank, which they would. Contendies coming up with a very early self-destruct here. It isolates Logix. Could be very beneficial, but the Cavalry coming on in, saving Logix. It's Hui with the defensive matrix there. Ends up paying for it with his mech. That enables Logix to live. Enables Logix to get the Graviton in. Contendies all close together right now. Suppose nowhere to go.
So many ults, so use those, EP. They stopped the snowball. I think it's still worth, but Tinsa also dropping the beat in that grab while Naga was rallying, and Logic's counter grab was denying Contendies from even swinging anyways. So it could be something that comes back to haunt them, especially considering that Zolik has that beat advantage now. But they've stopped the snowball onto last. They've stopped the offense, and they're going to be trying to hold here aggressively, look for engages.
Contendies time to move forward here once more. Rally can be popped here. Nomi gets just absolutely chunked early on, but he's able to get healed back up. Goliath catches Transcendence just in time. Suppose ends up falling on the other side. In Montreal, that could have been real close to going badly, but in the end, it goes quite good.
It does, and also more importantly for Montreal, not only was that Trance in time to save Nomi, but they got the rally. Buck used the rally to force that Trance, and Goliath's already 31%, 32%. I mean, these equalized Trances again.
So Montreal desperately would like to hold this off here. 2 minutes to go. And again, they can't win the series, but a map win could be decisive for them as they look at their playoff odds going into the next 2 weeks.
And something to notice is that there's still neither support up for Contendies, as Zolik has that beat advantage. And Montreal has to be careful, has to be decisive in terms of how they go forward. They don't want to use too many ults in this fight because there'll still be 2 more contests for Contendies.
Graviton going to be coming out here. Barrier in response from the Contendies. They move on forward. Gig drop the Shatter, knockdown 2. That's why Naga out of the fight here. Man advantage now. The Contendies are moving on forward. They would like to force this into extra rounds. Nomi under pressure, nowhere to go. Gonna get taken on down. A mace directly to the face on the other side. The Contendies getting the pressure they need here. Extra rounds definitely look to be in our future. And if they get through here, it's going to be with the time bank advantage. Goliath, not in time to save. The last few people up and around. Salty throws the self-destruct up just for good measure. And this should be Chicken Contendies finishing things out.
They should be finishing out and also finishing with time. They have a Transcendence up. They have another Shatter coming up. And the crux of that fight, ZP, was that Nomi set up the charge onto the grab, and Gig shatters the entirety of Montreal. They have no ability to follow up. He's moved out of position, so Montreal are just cleaning up the fight when Nomi's turning back around post-charge. Nomi's charge just was not in a position, and he wasn't aware. You know, it happens so often where these Reinhardts forget the other team has a Shatter in the grab. and there's no way that Montreal was able to clean up.
So now we head into extra rounds. Contendies is going to be working at the time advantage, so as a result, it's going to be Montreal on the attack first. And I will say for a map like Gibraltar, there are scenarios where the 44-second advantage will matter, but more often than not, it's not usually a big factor because on Escort, when the time bank difference is so close, you are very often looking at overtime being the name of the game, and once overtime comes into play, time bank really does just stop mattering. So I would argue that even if on paper Contendies has a slight advantage, really it's about as close to even as you're going to get.
Waiting here. Contendies is going to be on the defense. Running the 3-3, pretty standard for them so far. Montreal on the offense. I wouldn't be surprised to see them run Winston, but I think when you're at such a slow time bank, and you know exactly how Contendies is going to be wanting to play with Gig on the Rhine, you put Nomi on Rhine. You put Nomi on Rhine, and you just play the card more, which he appears to be what they're doing.
Montreal can be coming out of the gate here. Or don't forget that Montreal was pretty tentative their first attack. It took them almost a minute to get out of this very early point A spot. I don't think they're going to be as tentative going forward, but they do rump the early bash in to force Contendies back. And the problem is that they see Hui as he rotates back to swap. What do? Oh, Hui's not there? Let's move in. And they actually catch Tensa. But I think if you're Montreal, you're very happy with that trade because it came at a cost.
With Gig committing his life, I think that it's still okay. Montreal, they need to be moving forward. They're taking some space. They can't get punished right now because Gig isn't on the field. They know they have the spawn ad with Nomi coming back. So there's the cart presence going to be moving forward, rounding the bend. Neither team's really too far ahead right now in terms of the old game.
Not quite yet. And now we're going to head into overtime. It is a one-fight margin. Contendies, they're going for the throats. They immediately drop down. They catch Goliath. But can Gig stay alive? He's at a rough spot. He's on the coastline. Super low. Still getting healed up all the while. The Harmony Orb might have been enough. It's a Rock'em Sock'em battle. Off on the side. Nomi almost off the ledge. Gig going to fall. Montreal still in it. Hui had to go back over to the payload. And that was so ridiculously close. And yet Montreal still very much in it. We're in overtime. But time doesn't matter anymore.
Time does not matter anymore. And that fight was crazy, ZP. Goliath was holding so close. They catch him out on the flank. Somehow the entirety of Montreal lives post-fight, but Hui is the real unsung hero because he was on cart making sure Contendies had to turn around.
He kept in mind the objective. Here comes Logix on the fall through. Drops a grab at the door. Chicken Contendies, they transcend. They're still alive. They'd still like to stop this right here. Gig moving forward. His shield taking a beating, but he drops a shatter, knocking down 3 right in the back. But the Transcendent's going to come out in time. Although, not oddly enough, not in time to save Tensa. He's down. Chicken Contendies working the man advantage. The bomb in the back blows up Logix. And the payload is going to stop right here. So, Montreal to get point A. Not a whole lot else.
That pick on Tensa was brutal. He dies with 99% beat. And I think it was Hardblue denying the trans healing. I think he used the bubble to deny trans healing to Tensa along with the rest of Focus Fire from Contendies. Because remember, you are a 200 HP hero. You're kind of squishy. You don't have any self bubbles. So if you can block healing for even a second and everyone's focusing you, you're dead.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what happened to Tensa there, which was a huge pick. A really, really great play from all that Focus Fire on Tensa to deny the beat.
So minute 44 now for Chicken Contendies to go from point A, or really to capture point A, period. It's quite a bit of time pressure, really. I don't really think that this is a fun position to be in. It's definitely winnable. It's something that you can bring it that far, but usually point A attacks in Gibraltar do take a little bit longer. You enjoy having time to go for rotations in and around, and a minute 44, though it's more than what Montreal had a moment ago where they only went in with a minute, is still not exactly luxury when you're talking about time left remaining.
No, I mean, it's not a huge time bank. However, if they don't pull the Montreal Classic where they're stuck in spawn for 20 seconds, trying to make the Bastion strat work, essentially, they do add, a little bit extra time onto it. They've been having, the better of the Ryan v Ryan 3-3 war overall throughout the series, so they should be feeling relatively confident.
So Montreal could be standing up here to start things out, where, again, I do think early pressure works in their favor. Just try and burn a minute off the clock, so no matter what, the fight that goes on towards the apex of point A is a fight for the destiny of the map, and Already, heavy pressure going in. They're looking for Gig, but Gig won't protect enough that now they have to be careful. They don't want to overcommit and lose someone early and not burn off any time at all.
I mean, they just need to be keeping testing here on the corner. There's no reason to back up if you're Montreal. There's no reason to back up because you don't have a lot of fights. This is where you're fighting and where you're dying.
Harb getting so low, just barely able to rotate around, but guess what?
Gig isolated.
All the way back up. They're looking for Gig. Gig in a real hard spot here, ends up falling. Montreal getting the prize that they were looking for. And now with the D-Mech on the Salty, Chicken Contendies have gone through their bonus 44 seconds here as Montreal rips it right away from
And that armor pack from Naga as well. Contendies not only rotated off the higher gun, come back to help Gig, but they found Goliath. Salty was trying to get that pick, but a huge armor pack from Naga, keeping him alive. It's just how strong armor pack is, that instantaneous healing, even when you think you have that guaranteed pick. Just having it reserved is just so much. And Montreal can still hold this corner, and they really, I don't think they have to invest any ults. They need to force Contendies to use ults.
So now we're going to go into it. Both Brigidas using Rally. Nomi catches Buck very early on in the fight. Chicken Contendies unable to get the engage they're looking for. And now they are going to be down to one final attempt that must go the distance. If Montreal is able to stop them one more time, they'll be getting the map win here, which again, it's not the series, but it's something.
Yeah, it's not the series, but it is something. Buck using that rally so aggressively gets displaced. It's the entirety of Montreal, and Naga booping him in. And now Montreal are in a great position. It's 5v5 ults. They're deciding to commit the ults in this fight.
Well, they use Graviton here early. Salty gonna drop the self-destruct just to cover a bit here. Now Hui, raw self-destruct right over to the back. Buck able to avoid the brunt of it. In comes the grab here from Harblue, and it's enough to get Tensa. Man advantage now to the Contendies. Gig under fire, gets healed up under all that pressure. Still very low, the target for Montreal Rebellion. Harblue out of the fight, so is Gig. The front line getting shattered of Chicken Contendies here as Montreal starts fighting it on back. Nomi, 90%, finds Buck, close to a shatter. And that shatter might not even be needed here. Montreal, that fought it on back. They take Gibraltar, and they get the map win, which again, pretty important for where their playoff hopes have to go as we look at the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, they desperately needed the map win. I wish we'd seen Montreal like this all series.
Yeah.
I mean, their ults still weren't perfect, but their aggression was on point. They knew where they needed to be holding. They were taking the fights as they needed. You know, they were just initiating.
Yeah.
They were initiating. They were making the right plays, and it's clear that, you know, throughout the series they were lacking that throughout a lot of the maps. And they were getting outplayed in terms of initiation, in terms of how they use their ults, and yeah, that was the best they looked, was on Gibraltar.
Yeah, I mean, the Montreal we saw there towards the very end is the Montreal that we thought would be coming in, especially me. You know, I was talking him up in the very beginning. I thought we'd be seeing that Montreal all series long, but really credit where credit is due. Let's not forget that it is Chicken Contendies taking the series, and they did it in part because their tank frontline, Gig and Harblue, working together very well, especially in the beginning where just they were out-aggroing Montreal to a pretty insane degree.
Yeah, out-aggroing, out-individual playing in a lot of times. So they looked great. The front line for Contendies looked great. They've kept themselves alive for their playoff hopes. Montreal, they're not necessarily out of it yet. You know, nothing is set in stone. Literally the only team that is set in stone right now is Bermuda. Pretty much. That's the only team that's set in stone.
Well, and like a stone, they have sunk to the bottom.
Yes, but 5 through 7 is, you know, it's anyone's guess right now.
Yeah, and look, that's what you like to see as you get in there where you have the classic age-old stories of who's going to make playoffs. It's still in contest, and that's why you have to tune in here for these final few weeks to see who's going to make it. But guys, if you thought 2 matches was too much Overwatch here today, I got news for you. We got 2 more still heading after you.